Hey everybody, and welcome to FYB's live Wimbledon webcast. I have once again forgotten to turn off my computer mic. All right, there we go. Lot to talk about today.
Yeah, some huge
big upsets. Before we get to that, I want to thank Championship Tennis Tours for sponsoring this webcast. Link to their website directly below the video player. Use the promo code FYB if you are going to a tennis tournament. Get tickets through them. Going to the U.S. Open, you'll be able to hang out with us. We'll be at one of their, or a couple of their events, I guess. Also, we made a post. It'll be on the main page below this. Tomorrow at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, we are doing a live webcast just like this, except it's Q&A, instructional Q&A. How do I get more racket head speed on my forehand? How do I improve my movement? How do I help my serve placement? Anything like that. It's a feature of FYB Premium, so we're going to kind of sort of pull the curtains back and show people what that feature is like. Below this chat box, there is an email address that sends questions for tomorrow's Q&A. Email us questions to that address, any question you want. Again, you know, like I said, you know, what's the footwork for X? How do I improve my backhand? Where's my contact?
How do I handle a short ball?
Anything,
a high ball? Yeah. Anything you want to ask is
basically. Questions about strategy.
Sure.
So, you know, pretty much just free reign, but send us questions. That's, again, tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern, so 2 hours after the Wimbledon webcast.
All right.
All right. With that in mind, let's get to the question is, can the question be on women's tennis? I mean, this webcast is for Wimbledon and sort of talking about the matches of the day or recaps.
Right. I think he's just asking if today's question can be about women's tennis.
Oh.
The giveaway question.
All right. Well, in that case, I completely misinterpreted. All right, moving on.
All right.
We obviously the big upset today is Federer Bridge.
Yeah.
I don't want to start with that, partially out of convenience because I still have some stuff diagrammed on the dry erase board from yesterday's the preview I did, so I don't want to have to erase all that because I think it's very pretty. So we're going to start with Soderling Rafa. I'm going to head over there in a minute. Yeah, so Soderling Rafa, 4 sets, like I predicted. So for those of you who think I don't know what I'm doing when I make these predictions, you're sometimes
looked like he came out strong in the first set. You want to pull up a score line? Do we have
a score line? Give me uno momento. Give me one more second. Let me get the old magnifier up. All right, good to go. All right, so on the right-hand side we have the magnified sort of computer screen, and it was Soderling took the first 6-3, and then Rafa won 3-6 and 1. Fourth set wasn't close. You know, looking at the stat line, the thing that really stuck out to me in this, you know, 12 unforced errors is ridiculous for a 4-set match. But the thing that really, you know, this broke down a little bit. That doesn't tell the whole story because in the first set, Rafa made, I think, 2 unforced errors. In the second set that he won, 6-3, he made 1 unforced error. That's insane. And keep in mind, he lost the first set 6-3 with 2 unforced errors. And that, first of all, says that Soderling came out on fire, right?
Yep.
Second of all, Rafa
He came out strong.
Rafa is playing amazingly stingy tennis in terms of giving away points. He's not giving away any points. And he's also playing great offensive tennis. He had 31 winners. So, you know, eventually what I said in the preview video was that Soderling was going to have to play this really aggressive style and maintain it over the course of the entire match. And he wasn't able to do that. If we go over to the dry erase board, this is why I wanted to start with this match. This is the exact same diagram I had last night. Rafa here, Soderling up here. And Soderling used basically the same strategy he used at the French Open. Serve huge. He served 60%, I believe. And then control the middle of the court with the forehand, go corner to corner. And Rafa's, you know, the insane thing was Rafa's defense was basically just as good at Wimbledon today as it was at the French Open. Even on the quicker court, Rafa was getting it back, and he was getting it back really, really deep. So it was, it was just sort of astounding in a way that he was able to defend that well, give away no points, and then he transitioned forward when he got off defense, was hitting his spots in terms of his placement, and really was able to be offensive when he had opportunities, when he had looks. So I was really impressed from Rafa's standpoint in terms of the defense, the how clean he was playing. I mean, 12 unforced errors again, incredible. And in the last set when he won 6-1, foot's off the gas a little bit because he's clearly got that one locked up. So we'll get to this a little bit later on, but I think Murray is in for a very difficult match.
I agree.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a minute. So with that in mind, let's talk about the big upset today.
Right, Federer-Berdych, which was an insane match. Federer was very disappointed with his own level of play, I think. Berdych played extremely well. I mean, he hit just big shots. I don't know if... it seemed to me, Will and I disagreed on this a bit, but I'd like to hear what you thought in chat. I thought that Berdych, on some of his second serves, were like total powder puffs. It looked like he was just pushing the ball in and getting Federer. He wanted to get Federer into a rally, but he was not being aggressive at all on his second serve a lot of times. If anyone else noticed that in chat, Will seemed to think that he was very aggressive on his second serve.
I thought he was. I thought when he needed to be, he came up with some big second serves. The biggest one was when Federer had a break chance when Berdych was serving for the match. He came up with a big second serve. Federer missed a return into the net, which he said in the interview afterwards he wasn't happy about. He misplayed. He said that particular forehand, but Berdych, hit a better second serve than Federer was expecting. Looking at the stat line here. You're right in the sense that Federer hit faster. His second serve average speed was 101 miles an hour versus Berdych's 99. But I thought Berdych's first serve, 58%, not amazing percentage, but he came up with really big serves when he needed to. And ultimately this match I think came down to a couple points. There was, the thing that really stood out to me was Berdych is serving in the fourth set 2-3. He's trying to even it all at 3-all. Mm-hmm. He's down 40 love 40, and he pulls out two huge first serves, timely first serves. Now he did double fault to get himself into that hole, and played a couple bad shots. Two ridiculously good first serves, and then at 30-40 to get it, I'll diagram this because this was probably the best shot he hit all day, and it's something Cahill said, if at the time, if Soderling goes on to win, or Soderling, what am I talking about? If Berdych goes on to win this match, that was the shot everybody should remember. Berdych serves out wide to Fed. Fed sends the ball into the middle of the court. Berdych hits an approach shot over here. I can't remember if it was a forehand or a backhand. Decent shot. And Fed hits a great passing shot, a ball that got up and down, and Berdych hit a backhand volley, basically off his shoestrings, into the open court for a winner. I mean, it was an incredible shot, and obviously that saved that last break point. He went on to hold. And then the next game, serving, long service game, and Federer got 5 of 14 first serves in, served terribly that game, 36%, and he lost that service game. He got broken, and that was sort of all she wrote. There were a lot of situations where we were just talking about that return that Fed missed. I got the BlackBerry because I had written down a quote that again Cahill said during the commentary. Great quote. Federer is helping his opponent get to the finish line which, you know, by giving away points, by making errors, by not forcing his opponent
certainly
to
not something
earn
that he normally does.
Well,
Federer loves to make guys play one more shot. In addition to his ability to go on offense and hit winners, he gets that ball back. He tracks a lot of balls down, and he makes his opponents play more shots.
In big situations, in pressure situations, there we go, got it. Situations, he doesn't give points away. He makes the guy, you know, he makes guys beat him. And against Berdych in the Aussie Open 09, he made Berdych beat him, and he didn't do it.
Yeah.
Berdych clubbed some volleys and made some errors, but Fed didn't give away easy points on second serve returns and shots like that. So,
what do you think if they put a comment in there saying that Federer has a problem, which a lot of champions tend to have, which is that everyone goes for broke against him. They just pull the trigger, and sometimes it works for them, and sometimes it doesn't, but it can make your opponent harder to read or less predictable.
I don't know if I...
Yeah, no?
Yeah, probably not, just because the guys Federer's losing to, a very clear-cut type of player. It's a big guy, big serve, big ground strokes.
Right.
Who can, you know, basically sit in there and take huge cuts, and if they're on, they you know, they have a chance to
He does seem to have trouble lately with bigger guys. The Del Potros, the Soderlings, someone like Berdych, who's 6'5".
I'm trying to find this this interview with him post. He said, you know,
he said that he has the tools to.
Well, he said he had specifically the keys.
Right.
Was his language. I have the keys to beat these guys. And Federer, of course, and for those of you who didn't listen to his post match, he said he had a back problem and a leg problem.
Right.
Which I guess would explain. You know, I didn't think Federer played. You know, he did uncharacteristically make some forehand errors, missed some returns, didn't look particularly sharp in general. Serve went off a little bit, so that you know, that may have played a factor.
Well, that actually goes to the poll question. I want to know. Sometimes, as rec players, I'm sure a lot of you have played matches where, you know, someone beats you.
Loaded poll question.
It is a loaded poll question, but a lot of times rec players, I know have experience with this, you'll beat someone and they'll say, oh, I was injured. They'll make an excuse for why they didn't win. And Federer has now gone out in the quarters of the last two majors. So my question is he really injured, or is he not really injured and he's just saying that he was? An interesting question, I think. It's interesting. About 62% of people so far think that he's actually not injured, that he's making excuses.
Yeah,
basically.
we'll see. Everybody's coming through.
Yeah. So we'll leave that poll up there for a while, make sure everyone gets a chance to vote. But yeah, an interesting question, I think.
Yeah. So he
and he's now going to take a month off. Federer is.
Yeah,
he's taking all of July off basically, and then he'll probably start playing, I guess, some of the U.S. Open Series tournaments.
He'll probably play
Cincy, or
he'll play. I think it's Rogers Cup in Canada first, then Cincy, and then he'll be in the U.S. Open. So basically, three more. You know, those two tournaments, and then and then the U.S. Open. While those polls come in, let's briefly talk about Murray, and then we can address the poll question. I'm not going to talk about Djokovic-Lou. That was not an interesting match at all. That was a beatdown, which is not all that surprising.
We did say the Cinderella story would only go so far.
Yeah. If we look at the stat line here, Tsonga, Murray, Tsonga took the first, and then was kind of loose in the second set breaker. Both first two sets went to breakers, and he was a little loose. Gave away a couple points in the second set breaker, lost it, and then just got steamrolled afterwards.
Yeah.
Interesting stat. I had said in the preview video that Tsonga was going to have to play aggressive, serve well, serve pretty well, high percentage, serve well, and attack off the forehand. He did something I didn't expect. He did play aggressive tennis, but in the form of coming to net. He came to net 80% of the time. Unfortunately for him, he only won 44% of those.
He came to net 80 times.
Or what did I say? What did I say? 40%?
You said he won 80% of the time he came to net. He
so
came to net 80 times, winning 55% of those times.
Which is not a very good stat. And you know, I'm sure this was depressed by the stat line in the the third and the fourth set, depressed those numbers a little bit.
Look at that second serve average speed from Murray. I mean, that's a powder puff.
Anything above 90 is actually pretty standard.
Yeah.
As long as you place it well, Rafa, if we go over to his stat line, I bet he's not any higher than that. Probably somewhere around there. Yeah, 93.
Yeah, right around there.
Mm-hmm. It's just, as long as he places it well, he has a 93 mile an hour kick serve. It gets high in the strike zone, is going to be effective.
If it has a lot of action on it, that definitely.
So that Murray did a very nice job in that match of weathering a couple of the storms. The crowd did help him get pumped up, and the variety ended up breaking Tsonga down over the course of the 4 sets. I'll talk about how I think this is going to play with them in a second. Let's address the poll question first.
Well, yeah, I guess the final poll results coming in. It's 60-40. People believe that Federer is not really injured. That he's to a degree, I guess, faking that he is injured or making excuses. Part of me wants to say that a guy like Federer wouldn't do that. I mean, that he wouldn't just say he was injured for no reason if he weren't. But who knows?
I think it's extremely, extremely unlikely that he was making that up. I think he was injured. You're not going to get. I mean, a guy like Fed is not going to lose this match and then say, "Oh, I lost because I was hurt."
Sure.
And if that was,
we haven't seen that before.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We would have some sort of track
why
record.
He lost, right?
A guy like Federer, I think, if you look at he's just extremely honest.
Rafa is as well. I think Rafa's also known for his sort of brutal honesty.
Yeah.
Part of that probably is his difficulty with English doesn't allow him to
Yeah, I don't actually agree with that.
You don't think so?
No, because he's gotten asked questions in Spanish, and they asked
That's
him.
True. Yeah.
They asked him, do you think you're on Federer's level? And Rafa said, if somebody thinks that, then they don't know anything about tennis. That was it. The French Open. I mean, that's very blunt.
Sure.
And obviously that kind of question doesn't require a mastery of the English language. I think Federer definitely was hurting. He was not sharp today. That might be, it might be a different question. Should he have mentioned that in the press conference?
Mm-hmm.
Does that take, if you look at Rafa, what was I can't remember. He had lost a match, and then after the fact, a couple months later said, I was a little bit injured then. And they said, well, why didn't you say that right after the match? He said, well, I didn't really want to, go that route and say, well, one of the reasons I lost is I was hurt.
Yeah.
I didn't want to sort of diminish my opponent's victory.
Sure.
I'm kind of split on this. I don't think Federer said it in a way that
diminished Berdic's
I think he was just being honest, and he's always been honest, so I think it was perfectly legitimate for him to say that. And in a way, it doesn't take anything. It doesn't take much away from Berdic, who played great.
Mm-hmm. He did.
Who played a great match, and was mentally tough. So I'm not too concerned about that comment there, especially since again Federer has always been pretty straightforward. When he wins, he said, "Man, I played great." When he was a couple of years ago, he was like, "I played great. I feel sorry, for whoever. I played so well." I mean, that's like verbatim the language he would use, and he's not trying to say it, do it in a cocky way. It's just sort of who he is.
Yeah.
So I think, with that sort of larger picture in mind, it makes more sense why he's saying, well, I was a little bit injured, my leg, my back. I'm glad I'm getting some rest.
Sure. All right, so here's the next poll question for you guys, and that is, do you think Federer is ever going to regain the world #1 ranking? Is this a temporary slip where his 23 consecutive semifinals, of course, has ended. Now he's at 25 consecutive quarterfinals. But will he ever get back to... I think you and I probably agree in some respects that Federer is probably good for at least one major a year for the next 5 years.
Something I wouldn't be
somewhere along
surprised
there.
if he ended up with another 5 majors.
But I guess the real question is, will he get back to #1? which is tough to do, and it's a points race. It's not just being better than everyone else.
Yeah, there's a question from Ace. Do I think Federer needs a coach? No. I mean, the guy loses in quarterfinals 2 straight years, two tournaments back to back, and people are sort of, sounding the alarm, and that happened last year, and then he wins the French Wimbledon, makes it to the final U.S. Open, wins the Aussie Open. Right. The guy has had such a ridiculous run that anything short of perfection, it's like not fair,
you can't, if you're at Federer's level, quite literally the only place you can go is down. I mean, you can maintain your current level or you can go down, but you can't go up. And maybe he can go up just a smidgen now, but I mean, even that is going to be hard to do.
No, I mean, if he wins the U.S. Open, all will be forgiven. I think this actually sets up an interesting U.S. Open because, particularly if you get a Rafa Federer final, Federer's obviously going to be hungry, having not had the best last couple months. It's certainly not the performance he wanted at the French or Wimbledon.
I think people, to a degree, underestimate probably exactly what's required to win a major. I mean, how many matches do you need to win? You need to win seven matches in a row, and it's virtually guaranteed that the last 3 of those are going to be against top 10 opponents, at a minimum top 20 guys.
Yeah, you're going to have to beat quality opposition.
And it seems that he's had difficulty with one particular type of player, which is big hitters, who are just taking huge cuts.
Well, those are the type of players who, if they're on,
and he's injured,
it doesn't really matter to a degree what you're doing. If the guy's just ripping winners, there's nothing you can do.
Sure.
So, those are the type of guys that are going to have success. A grinder like Hewitt, who gives Federer a lot of looks at balls.
Right.
Federer is going to get himself into shape, or he's going to start, in terms of finding the range, or he's going to start putting more balls in play, being a little bit more conservative, knowing that the guy can't hurt him.
Right. I'd be curious. It's too bad, I don't think IBM tracks stats like this, but I would be very curious to know if you took a look at guys that Federer has beaten or matches where Federer has won against top-ranked players, and say the average number of balls in the average rally during one of those things where Federer wins. And then if you contrast that with someone like Del Potro or a Soderling, if, there's 1 or 2 fewer shots played per point on average.
Yeah.
If that's what's hurting Federer, is these guys just get up there and they have the ability to pull the trigger and shorten up points so that Federer can't get as many looks and can't develop points the way that he likes to.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
And I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of confounding factors in there, like was it grass or clay or hard court, but
I mean, that'd be an interesting stat. I mean, tennis actually has really bad stats.
It does.
Considering
you can turn on the NFL and they will tell you literally every single stat you could possibly want to know. There's very little stat information in tennis to go on sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, it's the thing. If we, I think we're talking about whether Federer is susceptible to these big hitters. I think to a degree, big hitting righties. I mean, obviously Soderling, Berdych, Del Potro, all right-handed players.
Sure.
And when they're hitting inside-out forehands to Federer's backhand, Federer can't defend as well off of that side as Rafa, because that's Rafa's forehand.
Yeah.
And when Rafa is dialed in with defense, he's getting that ball deep. It's heavy. He can neutralize much more effectively. We saw that today against Soderling. I mean, Soderling was pounding inside-out forehands, and Rafa was getting him back deep off of his forehand side. So Rafa has an inherent defensive advantage.
People are coming up with some stats here and there, and someone was saying, well, at least tennis has better stats than FIFA.
Or better refs, at least.
It is disappointing, though, because, I feel like tennis it could be, in some ways, a stat-driven sport, but you literally, for, American football fans out there, I think, guys if you guys watch football, I think you'll agree that you can turn on a football game and you're going to hear something like, oh, well, Green Bay is 18-2 when the game starts, when the weather is more than 32 degrees, and Brett Favre has 5 victories under his belt, and so-and-so on the defensive line isn't injured. And they have all that information.
Well, you're talking about Elias Sports Bureau that tracks all that stuff, and I don't think they're really on the job with with tennis. Do we have a trivia question from you, Adam?
We do have a trivia question.
Oh, we do? Okay, good. Well, why don't we do that, and then we will talk about Murray Rafa, I think the thing everybody...
so people are split 50-50, by the way, on whether or not Fed will regain the world #1 ranking. Interesting. Where was I here? Where'd my trivia thing go? I think I lost it here somewhere. Okay.
All right, so this is for a $25 gift card.
Yep. So
tennisexpress.com.
back in 2003, there was a episode of The Simpsons that was tennis themed, and it featured 2 tennis players. One of them was Pete Sampras. Who was the other tennis player that was caricatured?
Who is it?
In this episode of The Simpsons. Someone already got it.
So is it? Yep. Wait, is it the Williams sisters, or is it only one of them?
I believe it's both of them.
Oh, it's both of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it would be Status X.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Status X.
Good
Except,
work.
well, he said Agassi and the Williams sisters, which is not
whoops.
correct. But someone else up above.
Wait, is Agassi up in that episode?
No, it was Pete Sampras and the Williams sisters.
Oh.
So.
This counts.
Yeah, sure. We'll give it to Ma Winnie.
Sorry, Status X.
Close. Unless I'm getting this wrong, and Agassi actually was in there, since 2 people said that, but I believe that it was the Williams sisters and Sampras. So,
well, you'll get flamed.
If it turns out Agassi was in there, I'm sure I'll get flamed, and we'll figure something out. But
hold on.
This is fun trivia. It's not meant to be 100% correct all of the time. So, tennis.
Well, we'll scroll up and see if you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you figure out if you got that right or wrong, and I'm gonna keep. Looks like Agassi was. I don't know. Whatever, you can figure it out.
Yeah,
Some people are saying he was in it.
Oh yeah, he was.
All right.
Agassi was in there. Fantastic.
Well, we're gonna give it to Ma Winnie, and we'll give it to Status X. So we got 2 winners today. Nice work, Adam. Way to blow it.
Yeah, I know. Shacker.
1 second.
So we have 2 minutes left here.
All right.
What do we want to do?
Let's quickly talk about. Why don't you do a poll, real quick? In terms, Charles says throw Adam under the bus. I'm working on it. Why don't you do a poll? Who wins Rafa Murray semi? I'm going to make 2 quick picks while we talk about this on the women's side for their semifinal matches. I think Serena Williams, unsurprisingly, is going to win, and I think over Kvitsova, still can't pronounce that. And then I think Zvonareva, who won in doubles over Serena and Venus today, is going to beat Pironkova. So Williams or Zvonareva in the women's final. Mm-hmm. I think, given that the draw is kind of thinned out a little bit.
And we'll just show that.
Okay, here it is.
There.
Given that the draw is, have you started running the poll?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Yeah, given that
there we go.
The draw has sort of thinned out, I don't see anybody beating Serena at this point. I mean,
I think this tournament is hers to lose at this point. Yeah. I don't think she will. I don't think she'll lose it.
Neither do I. Which is good because I picked her to win the whole tournament.
She deserves to win it. She's playing great.
Yeah, she says actually she outside of her serve, she's not playing that well.
I mean, I disagree. I think she's playing absolutely fine, and I'm sure that she's going to be disappointed in some aspect of her game at any given time. But
well, I mean, I think regardless, I don't see anybody else in that draw that's going to give her too much trouble. It's nice that she has a shot to win it. So I win on the guy men's side. It's not going to happen.
Yankovic in the chat says that Kvitova is a massive hitter. So we'll see what.
Yeah, she is, but she's also never been here before, and she's there's plenty of players out there that can blast the ball. But the question is, can they do it in pressure situations? Can they consistently?
Right.
You can hit big if you're set up well. If you're not moving well, if you're off balance, how's your return? I mean, there's a million other factors. Being able to hit hard is not the end-all, be-all.
Yep. So it looks like 60-40 basically. People have Rafa winning over Murray in the semis. So
They have Rafa.
Rafa 60-40 over Murray.
Yeah, I mean, I think Murray's going to win, or excuse me, I think Rafa's going to win this match too. The concern I would have if I'm Andy Murray is here's a guy who has got a ton of variety, and he's good at working the ball around the court and getting his opponents off balance.
You're talking about Murray.
I'm talking about Murray.
Okay.
And forcing them into errors. Well, Rafa made 3 unforced errors the first 2 sets, 12 for the entire match. The guy's not giving anything away.
Right.
And he's been playing great from an offensive standpoint. So you have a guy like Soderling who's got sick offense. Couldn't do it. Couldn't beat him. You're not going to get somebody to outgrind.
Okay, so
Rafa.
if you're Murray, how do you win against Rafa?
I think what you need to do is take the playbook you had from the Aussie Open when, granted,
when he smoked him.
Well, he beat him. Granted, Rafa wasn't back in terms of his confidence and level of play, and he tweaked his knee. But what happened in that match, what was effective, and Murray did play aggressive tennis here, and he was smart about it. Murray's got a great two-handed backhand, so he was hammering backhands cross-court where appropriate and really pressuring Rafa's forehand. Rafa wasn't able to neutralize particularly well and was leaving balls in attackable locations, either off a backhand or a forehand that he then puts into the open court. The problem with this for Murray is that Rafa's defense is much better. We just saw Soderling try something similar. Rafa was able to defend until he was, until Soderling made an error or Rafa was able to neutralize. Now, I will say that Murray is much more dynamic than Soderling, so you'll probably see more of a progression, from a baseline rally forward to, your approach shot, forward to net. So I do think that if Murray tries something to this effect, where he's hammering backhands cross court, he'll come in more than Soderling did. And there's always the question: will Murray be able to keep Rafa off balance with maybe some well-timed, drop shots over here to give Rafa something to think about? So it'll be interesting to see how this match plays out. I think Murray's going to have to use his variety in an offensive manner. Doesn't mean he has to knock him off the court, but he needs to be offensive. He shouldn't use it to kind of work the ball around and just, try and force Rafa into errors. Rafa's not making any errors, and he's playing really aggressively. His placement's great. His ball is off the forehand in particular is really heavy. So I think Murray needs to play selectively aggressive, but he needs to look to be aggressive at the first opportunity. Needs to return extremely well. If I were him, I'd be attacking Rafa's second serve. That's what he did well in the Aussie Open. So I would expect a similar game plan from Murray. The question again is just the level of execution. I mean, Rafa is not like, or somebody was saying in the chat that he got the Agassi answer first.
Well, we'll see.
Whatever, we'll figure it out.
We could also give away FYB premium memberships as
maybe
consolation prizes.
The coconut, we'll talk to you afterwards. What was I talking about? I've lost focus.
Well, I don't know. We were talking about Murray and Rafa.
Yeah, it was
what Murray will need to do to win.
Oh yeah, sorry. I was talking about execution. Murray, Soderling wasn't able to execute over the course of the entire match. He executed in the first set. Rafa made 2 unforced errors.
Yeah.
And he still won that set. The question, so the question is, can Murray execute at a high level over an entire match against a guy like Rafa? And Rafa makes it really difficult for you to do that. I think Murray's going to be helped with the crowd. It's going to boost him a little bit. But Murray does occasionally have lapses where just a game lapse where he gets broken.
Sure.
So I think if Murray's going to win, it's going to be a 5-set match. And I don't think he's going to be able to do it. I haven't seen the consistent offense out of him yet.
Sure.
To pull that off.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for today. We went a little long, in fact.
Do I think Djokovic is playing? Yeah, we'll answer a few more questions. Dunking Pro, if you want to ask me that question, do it tomorrow during the FYB Premium webcast.
We're gonna have a question. We're gonna have a
Q&A session tomorrow. I'll answer whatever.
FYB Premium.
Where was? Hang on. Djokovic, yeah, Super Gannon. I think Djokovic is playing really well. He's serving well, which is big because the serve's been the big issue for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Berdych and Djokovic, we'll talk about this a little bit tomorrow. Djokovic is going to have a better time, I think, attacking or at least neutralizing off of Berdych's serve. Berdych, again, was only 58%. Federer gave away a lot of second serves, just missed them outright. And Berdych was really attacking Federer's one-handed backhand return. The ball was sliding into Fed, so he was getting jammed a little bit. I think Djokovic is going to have a better time handling that shot. And if Berdych doesn't serve a higher percentage, he's going to have some trouble, I think. I think Djokovic is going to convert more than 1 out of 8 break chances.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my thought on that.
Right.
We'll address more of this tomorrow, so we can just talk about it then.
Tomorrow's 5 p.m.
Tomorrow's 5 p.m. Yeah, sorry, I'm
webcast.
I'm like trying to deal with the
Stay
chat
on
here.
target here.
I'm
you
losing
can
focus.
chat with people after the webcast is over.
Adam keeps the train running on time, so we will,
And so tomorrow at 5 p.m. will be our normal Wimbledon webcast, and then tomorrow at 7 p.m. you can email your technique questions to us ahead of time.
Well, email them now. Right below this chat box. Right below this chat box is an email. Like, click on that link. It'll say send us questions. So if you have a question about technique, if you have a question about strategy, if you have any type of question, send it to us, and we will answer it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if we get 1 million questions, we're not going to be able to answer all of them.
Yeah, we'll try and take the best ones, quote unquote.
Yeah.
We'll figure something out.
So ask a good question.
So ask good questions, right? Other than that, I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
And no, it's not just for premium members. Let's make this
I'll
clear
let-
again.
while you
Tomorrow at 5 p.m. we're going to be doing a webcast just like this one, the daily 5 p.m. webcast that covers Wimbledon. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. we're doing a free webcast, free for everyone, just like this, but instead we're going to be showing you sort of a sample. It's going to be a sample of what we do inside of Premium. So you can ask us technique questions, or you can ask us any kind of question you want, basically, because every week inside of Premium we do an hour-long webcast where we answer members' questions, and every single question gets answered. And the questions can be about technique, strategy, fitness, drills, whatever you want to ask us about, you can ask. And that's what we're going to be doing at 7 p.m. tomorrow. So if you have questions about FYB Premium, because we're doing the promo right now where it's less than half price, ask us questions about that as well.
Yeah. So we are.
I think that's it.
Okay.
Let's wrap it up.
All right, cool.
And we'll see you guys tomorrow at 5.
I'm totally unfocused right now. I have no idea what's going on.
All right, tomorrow at 5,
We'll see you guys later.